Hello everyone, Jules here. Today I'd like to show an oracle deck that is quite lovely, and it was published earlier this year, and that is the Greek mythology reading cards. Here is the box, and the digital collage art is done by Richard Crookes, who has illustrated quite a number of oracle decks in recent years, and the small guidebook is written by Alison, Chester-Lambert. So here is the box, and on the box this has the Greek god Zeus, who is known as Jupiter in the Roman mythology. So all of these cards are Greek mythology gods and goddesses and figures. And there are 50 cards in the deck. So I'm going to show about half the cards, the ones I particularly like. And here is the small guidebook. The guidebook has the same picture as the box, with Zeus on the cover. And the illustrations are digital collage from classical paintings. And in the last 2 pages of the book, there are credit notes for each of the cards, which I think is a good idea, because sometimes people might recognise some of the pictures on the cards and they might know that they're from classical artworks, and this way you will be able to look at that in the back pages and see where the art is taken from. In the book there is a small amount of information, but it's sufficient. There is a little bit of information on each card on each of the gods or goddesses, and then a small paragraph for the meaning. So here is the book. These are the usual oracle card size. The cardstock is quite good. This is published by Findhorn, who have published a few oracle decks in recent years. So here is the back of the cards. The cards are a little bit glossy. There's the back of the cards, and these are the usual oracle card size. So I'm going to show you about half the deck and the ones that I particularly like. So here is Apollo, god of the sun, and there's keywords at the bottom of each card. So this one says Apollo, god of light, because being god of the sun, he is the god of light. So I really like these cards. I actually thought they would be quite good, but I find they're actually better in person than I thought. I really quite like the cards. And I actually like these borders, because I wasn't sure about the borders either, but the way this has been done, the borders blend in with the art. And I like the vine that's growing, the vine that is on the borders as well. I think that's a really good touch. So these borders do not bother me at all. I thought they would, but I like the artwork. So this is Apollo, god of light. Goddess everyone would know, Aphrodite, and the key word is attraction. So these are all Greek mythology figures. So some people would know the Roman equivalent name for each of these. And I know that the Greek myths vary and are different to the Roman myths. So these are the Greek names and the Greek figures, Greek gods and goddesses. And of course Aphrodite is similar to Venus in the Roman pantheon. So this is Aphrodite, attraction. I really like this card. This is Artemis, goddess of light. So you have Apollo as the god of light, and this is Artemis as the goddess of light. And you can actually see a symbol here representing Artemis in the corner. And the Roman goddess is Diana. So some people might be a little bit puzzled of why this is goddess of light, but she is a lunar goddess. So this is the light of the moon. A lot of people would associate Artemis with nature and with animals, and that is true. But she is also a lunar goddess, very strongly associated with the moon. So this is Artemis, goddess of light. Athena, protectress. There is her owl symbol in the corner. And Athena is the goddess of Greece, which is why Athens is the capital of Greece. So she is probably the most important Greek goddess. Athena. Demeter, mother. One of my favourites, Dionysus, merry-making, god of wine and nature, wildness. So I'm glad Dionysus is included in this deck. Eos, representing the dawn. I love the chariot here, the solar chariot. Eris, for strife. And I like the inclusion of Eris in here too, because Eris is a planet that has been recently discovered in the last few years, and we certainly have got strife going on in the world. So Eris is the goddess of strife and discord. So I like the inclusion of this card as well. So it does represent the current times we're living in. Eros, desire. There's Cupid's bow in the corner down here. Hestia, inner fire, goddess of the hearth, also known in the Roman form as Vesta. I really like this image of Hestia. The Hydra, challenges, Hygeia, good health, which is where we get the word hygiene from. I'm glad this has been included as well. I think the goddess of health is quite important. Now, this is one a lot of people will know as well. Chiron, woundedness, and this is the Greek spelling, the old Greek spelling of Chiron. The Moray. Now this normally is associated with fate or the fates. The keywords here is the future. I actually look at this more as fate or destiny, or the measure of time, rather than the future, rather than only the future. It's the Moray. Nike, or victory, goddess of victory. Another one that people will know, the god Uranus, with the very old Greek spelling and the keyword remoteness. He was the original Titan god of the Greeks before the Olympian pantheon. So he is a very ancient god. It's Uranus. Another favourite of mine, Pegasus, nature. I love the inclusion of Pegasus in this deck. Another favourite of mine, Persephone, transformation. Now, the next one is Pluton, which is an older Greek name for Pluto. And the key word is underworld, because he is the god of the underworld. Personal favourite, Poseidon, and the key word is avarice. Now this is the Greek god who is called Neptune in the Roman pantheon. Now this is Psyche, and this keyword I'm not sure about. It says doubtfulness. I would not necessarily have put that keyword with this card, but it is a beautiful card, and the butterfly is here. So Psyche is the Greek word for the soul. That's a beautiful card. Now, the last card I'm showing for today is the goddess Tyche, who is the goddess of fortune. And the Roman goddess would be Fortuna. So I always think of this goddess more as Fortuna because I'm more familiar with that goddess. But this is the Greek pantheon, so this is Tyche. For the goddess of fortune. So there's about half the deck of the Greek mythology reading cards, and I'll put the details below the video. And I really like this deck. I think it's a beautiful deck. I think it's useful for people who are interested in the Greek pantheon or interested in mythology. It's also a good deck for people who would like to use these as deity cards. I think they'd be really good for altar use. So I'm really glad that I have this deck. I have a couple of other mythology figures of gods and goddesses, but I really like this one. I think it is very well done, and some of the gods and goddesses that are included in this deck are not usually seen in other Greek pantheon decks. I will just let you know that the goddess Hecate is not in this oracle. For anyone who particularly wants Hecate, she is not in this particular oracle deck, but otherwise there are 50 cards and there is quite a wide variety of the members of the Greek pantheon in here. So thanks for watching. Bye for now.